Are VCs as inherently evil as Reddit would have you believe? Find out next on this episode of This Has to Work.
This is the second time Reddit has made it to the This Has to Work podcast. Personally, I love Reddit. I think it's the real world, actually. I think it's the purest social media platform. But here are some of my favorite thread titles from Reddit about venture capital. So, has venture capital destroyed more tech than it's created? How capitalism and private equity destroyed Red Lobster. They don't give you don't have the shrimp, all you can eat shrimp anymore.
I thought it was about the cheese biscuits.
They took away the cheese.
No.
Did they take away cheese biscuits?
No, hold on. Let me. The whole thing.
Shall I flip a table?
Well, that was the thing. It was like the outrage was around. There was a shortage of like cheese biscuits at one point in time, and then they found out it's because like somebody didn't pay the cheese biscuit vendor or something. I may be making all of this up. My story's funny, and I kind of hope it's true, but it's something about the cheese biscuits. I don't know. I'm not a big Red Lobster guy.
I know they took away all you can eat shrimp.
Okay.
And the last one I saw is, do venture capitalists prey on small companies? So none of this is new. There's always been tension between the gods and the peons, right? There's always been this perception of those who can't do invest.
Right.
But I have seen an increased, I don't want to say hostility, but an increased tension between founders and venture capitalists.
Yeah.
Have you had that same perception anecdotally?
Yeah. I mean, Reddit is my favorite shit posting site on the web. I mean, it's just on the internet. It's fantastic.
Yeah.
And I agree with you. I feel like you get a lot more unfiltered and frankly speaking, a lot of times less unhinged. It's almost more reasonable, as weird as that is.
Yeah, I agree.
You would think it would be the opposite, where, basically the whole idea is that you're basically shit posting everything. But no, it feels like I've never seen it before, where you have so many people coming out of the woodwork, and it's kind of equal parts anti-VC and kind of equal parts pro-bootstrapping. The thing that concerns me a little bit about is not really the backlash on VCs, because I think most VCs, I don't say most VCs, that's not fair. A lot of VCs deserve it, right? They act like turds, like, they deserve the backlash. That's fine. What I am concerned a little bit is this evangelizing around bootstrapping. And again, so let me take a step back. Bootstrapping or self-funding, right? Meaning that, you're not taking on any investment. It seems to be proposed as a great solution, but I'm not sure that it's being explained, like what's at risk when you try to bootstrap.
Say more.
So if you think about somebody who goes, it's very easy to say to somebody, oh, well, you shouldn't take money, you should just do it yourself. Okay. So let's think about the population of the world that could do that.
Right.
Building some sort of technology platform. Product's not even on the table. You want to build a product and bootstrap it, and you're not already a very wealthy person, find another avenue, because I just don't see a path forward there. But let's just say you want to build a technology product. Okay, cool. Yes. AI can make coding very easy for non-coders. There are tons of off-the-shelf technology, platforms that you can use that'll help you build a product, that'll help you stand something up. That's great. So now I have a minimally viable product that I have to take to market. Okay. So you've somehow found enough money or found enough free resources to put in a product together, but you're not a salesperson,
right?
Or you're not a marketer, or that's not your background. So now you have to pay somebody for that. Okay. How are you paying for that? How are you paying for your website? How are you paying for hosting services? How are you paying for the stuff that you can't get for free? And the answer is you're either wealthy enough or you have enough cash personally to do that, or you don't. Yeah. And so I feel like that population is actually smaller than people want. That's the first problem. The second problem is the scalability issue, which is Yes, the 2 companies that I have started most recently, I bootstrapped. They were services companies. We didn't have a product to sell. I had, website fees. I had, email domain fees. I had my Gmail account fees, basic stuff. I had annual subscriptions to, Microsoft and dumb stuff. I had a $1,200 laptop. But all in, I probably launched the business for $5,000, which even if I didn't have the cash, I could have put it on a credit card, right? But I wasn't launching a technology business. So with a technology product. So I think that I'm a little concerned that people make it seem so easy when maybe it is, maybe it isn't. Just a quick time out to ask you if you'd please hit that subscribe button. 88% of people who watch our videos are not subscribed to our channel. So if you want the latest on startup news, technology, innovation, or even just business discussions, click that subscribe button. Promise to give you some good content. 1 long form video a week and several shorts along the way. Hit that subscribe button. Help us reach our goal of 5 new subscribers every single week. Thanks so much.
I think bootstrapping, I'm a fan of bootstrapping if you can do it. To your point, that leaves out a swash of people, a cohort of people who simply can't participate in the market just by bootstrapping. I have really complicated feelings about and thoughts about VC, and there is very contradictory as well. So just in general, my view is that VC exists existentially to have like profound social impact. You are supposed to be using that money to solve big, massive societal problems. Otherwise, what are we doing?
Yeah.
Right. And I think on another spectrum, some of the tension, I really want to understand why founders have an issue or this tension has arisen. I think some of it is, one, it's just hard to get venture funding. It's easy to take that personally. And I think we all, in various ecosystems and just online, do a very poor job of preparing founders for raising money. We are preparing them to pitch. We are preparing them to do their outreach. We need to prepare them for how VC works and how a venture capitalist is thinking.
Yeah.
Right? You are one of many. It may sound messed up to say, but you are not special within a portfolio.
Yeah.
You may have a portfolio of 100 companies and one needs to hit. And so I think founders have to go into it a lot more objectively, just how VCs are going into this. And also there's a God complex within it, right?
Yeah.
That too. And I think we need more venture capitalists that are operators.
Right.
I think we have a lot of venture capitalists that are finance people and accounting, but the most powerful venture capitalists and the most helpful, particularly with early stage, they're operators.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point. And we've talked about how empathy for founders can be the big unlock. Now, whether that's as a program provider, as an investor, as a mentor, as an investor, all of those things require some level of empathy. And another thing I have empathy around is something else you said, which is it could be really frustrating if you're sitting there and you're going, I am attacking juvenile diabetes and I can't get a VC to call me back, but these dummies are funding the next dating app that nobody asked for, or some other stupid piece of technology that is solving a nuisance for rich people. While I'm trying to actually have that societal impact, I certainly have empathy for those folks because that's incredibly frustrating. And I think that's pretty well founded.
Yeah, and that happens all the time. And I think a part of it too is if you are a founder, you have to do your due diligence in finding a VC that fits what you're doing and that's well aligned. And I think you have to ask the hard question, like, are you building a venture backable business?
Right.
Like, let's be real about this. The threshold, the bar is a lot higher. The problems are a lot bigger, right? And so you really have to look at what you're creating and ask yourself, are you building VC? Are you trying to get venture capital to get your business off the ground?
Yep.
Because that's not what it's for.
Yeah.
Right.
I do think the other part of that is founders will anchor success on their ability to raise.
And that is
VC.
so problematic.
It is so problematic because your business may not need it.
Correct.
It may not benefit from it. Part of kind of the underlying like undercurrent of some of this pro bootstrapping is that I like, that I'll lean into, is that it's basically saying you can have a really nice lifestyle business, do some really good work, develop some excellent technology, and be generating $1 million a year in revenue, or a couple $1 million a year in profit, and never having taken any kind of venture capital money or any kind of outside investment. I do like that part of it, because I think that gets lost. And I think that people index success as a founder in their ability to raise money they may not have needed to raise in the first place.
Correct. And I love that too. I call them calm companies, right? You don't necessarily have to take investments. You could if you wanted to, but you don't have to. You have a great lifestyle. You're creating employment opportunities for other people, and you're less likely to resent your business. It is very easy to take VC and not really understand everything that comes with it. Once you accept that money, you're in it for the long haul.
Now, one of the things I think you do want to avoid is this anti-VC kind of mentality, or getting sucked into that vortex because it helps you deal with your frustration or your anger of not being able to raise that money. So let's assume that you really should raise that money. Let's assume you're building a venture scalable product. And let's assume that the VCs you're talking to are being turds, right? They're not returning your phone calls. They're not taking you seriously. They're giving you crap terms, whatever the case may be. Let's assume all of that's in place. Don't make that about the entire asset class, and certainly don't make that about all of the asset class managers, because I think you'd agree not all VCs are the same.
No, they're not. And I think when we talk about founder empathy, there is room to talk about VC empathy. And what a frame that founders can adopt is this: the one thing that you get as a venture capitalist or a capital allocator in general is perspective, right? When a founder comes to you with a solution or a pitch deck, chances are that investor, that's the 10th one they've seen that month.
Yeah.
That is the 10th one they've seen that month. You as the founder, you don't know that because you don't have the perspective, and you know you're working hard and you feel like this is special. But the venture capitalist on the other side of the screen has seen this exact same business model to solve this exact same problem with this exact same segment.
Yeah, and as an aside, real quick, this is also why you don't want VCs signing NDAs. We get that all the time,
Thank
right?
you.
So they say, oh, I'll share my pitch deck or I'll share my data room with this NDA. You don't want me signing that NDA, because if I'm signing that NDA, it means I've signed NDAs in the past. And if I've signed NDAs in the past, I can't share that perspective with you anymore. And here's the other thing. If your idea is so fragile and and it has so much substitution risk that merely sharing your pitch deck with somebody means that they can steal your idea sucks.
Yeah.
It's not a big enough solution. It's not complicated enough. It's not novel enough, or it's not protected enough, if that's the case. So that's number one. Number two, the NDA that you don't need doesn't mean that VCs are going to say, oh, I talked to Kelly Clark on this date. Her company is called this, and this is how their code works. We don't do that. We don't talk like that. But we will say, hey, we looked at a similar company previously. It was doing X, Y, and Z that's a little bit adjacent to you. Here were the things that they were having trouble with. Are you having the same kind of issues?
Right. And there are a number of reasons, to your point, because you just made me think of something, why a VC first of all, I think VC should respond. But sometimes the inbox is crazy, and you know that. The inbox gets ridiculous. But sometimes there are a number of reasons why you probably won't get a call back or funded. And to your point, sometimes it's because there is a portfolio company or a few that are competitors for what you're building. And a lot of it is just a matter of integrity, right? As a venture capitalist, you don't want to make another investment to a competing company that undercuts what's existing in your portfolio.
Yeah, and forget about ethics for a second, and just realize that I'm kind of cutting my left hand to serve my right hand. That doesn't really make any sense on that side of the equation anyway. I will say this. I will defend VCs in one way about non-response, which is, and I've said this on other podcasts, if you are sending me a deck about something that has absolutely nothing to do with my investment thesis, with anything that you can find about me online that says that I've invested in these things, the stage is different, the industry is outside of it, whatever the case may be, and you send me that deck, I'm going to reserve the right not to respond. If you're not going to do the homework to send only things to me that might be at least close to my thesis, then yeah, I mean, I might look at it at that point. But if you're not going to do that, you're just spamming this thing out there, then no, I'm going to treat it with kind of the care you treated it with when you sent it by not responding. So I will make that caveat. But in general, yes, absolutely. They should at least respond. Okay. So before we get in the episode, because we do love Reddit.
Yes.
We very much love Reddit.
I do.
What is your favorite subreddit?
Oh, okay. I have 3.
Okay, good.
Explain it to me like I'm 5. That's one of my favorites.
Is it like literally explain it to me like I'm 5?
It's explain it to me like I'm 5.
Okay, cool.
One is, I forget the name of the subreddit, but it's basically people take pictures of their bookshelves and you have to guess their personality based on their bookshelves. It's really cool.
That's genius.
And the third is like Ask Men. Y'all are fascinating creatures.
Oh, wait, whoa, time out. So is this like an open AMA where women ask men or other men ask
other men
men?
Are asking questions, and it is like, wow. Like, it is very fascinating.
Fascinating, like in like I'm watching zoo animals, or fascinating like this is incredible psychology.
A little bit. I've learned a lot
on
there, but it is fascinating. So yeah, those are the 3. So if you ever want to like dive into Reddit, check those out.
So not to get into your air all your personal business, but you're married. Did you ever take some of that stuff back to your husband and you're like, is this true? Is this really what you think?
Yes, but I will not share it. We'll share it offline. I was like, is this really true? He's like, yeah, I'll share it.
All right, I'll share one. I'm with you. There's like probably 4 or 5 that I like and I'm on all the time. But one of my favorites, and this was one that my buddy Austin Sensiman turned me on to, and it's We Want Plates. And it is literally pictures of people going to restaurants where they decided to get creative about how they were going to serve the food. And so you'll see stuff where it's like pizza in a cup, right? Okay. Or like it's like charcuterie on like a shovel.
Man.
I mean, some of these are crazy.
It sounds like late stage capitalism.
I'm telling you,
let's just figure something out.
It is outstanding. You will laugh. There's some very awkwardly creative restaurateurs out there. So
that is wild.
Anyway, so how we want to wrap this up, Kelly?
My goodness. I think we can wrap it up by saying there is no true right or wrong. There are bad VCs. There are founders who don't do their due diligence. At the end of the day, we're all doing the best we can. And you should, as a founder, look for VCs that align. Really think about if you're building something that's investment backable, and really think about if you do want to bootstrap, what does that actually mean?
Yeah.
What do you think?
Yeah, absolutely. Appreciate it, Kelly.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks so much for tuning in. As always, like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. We'll see you next time.